if a guru is really competent, he or she can just look at an individual once and figure out that what are the areas where this individual will progress certain aspects of sadhana. He or she can progress faster in certain aspects where he or she will have difficulty. So accordingly, practice can be tailored for the individual, that if you do this, if you follow this, then there's a high chance that you will progress. And about spend some time, keep doing this upasana, at least for a year, year and a half, because remember that there is another factor for progress, that is time. When your time is right, only then you get the things. But that doesn't mean that you do not practice before that, because if you do not practice, then even if the time is right, you may still miss the opportunity. So like that.
If one were to take a year to prepare oneself before approaching a guru to seek initiation into the Shakti path, which of the following Mahavidyas is ideal to approach for a beginner, and what would be the best way to prepare during this 1 year?
Okay, first of all, when we say Mahavidya, if there is a Mahavidya that you really like, suppose for some reason you like Kali or you like Tripur Sundari, and many are, on an average, other people, I've seen most of them, most people generally like Kali, Tara or Tripur Sundari. These are the three most prominent. The other deities are only perhaps if somebody had introduced you to those deities, then you will like the other Mahavidyas by and large. So before you approach a guru, proper upasana for Mahavidya only you can learn after your guru tells you. You cannot learn on your own. That is, there are methods, there are processes, then you have to do certain sadhanas and things like that. But as I had mentioned last time, there is no bar to actually reciting the names of a deity. If you think that you can handle your worship of Kali is appropriate for you and there is no problem with that, and I say that because I know at least one specific case where somebody had suggested Kali Upasana to a lady who was very mild-natured, and perhaps it was not the right deity, and quite easily she got scared after some experiences happened. So if those are basic understanding, basic judgments that each individual can make on their own. Suppose you feel that you are accustomed to a certain degree of familiarity with the idea of Kali and you really like her, then you can pick up the 108 names of Ashtottara Nama and keep doing that sufficiently. Sufficient means not just doing it once. You should spend at least 45 minutes to an hour daily with that, with devotion, nothing else, no complications, no mantra chanting, nothing. Along with that, there are certain basic stotra slokas related to the idea, concept of a Guru Tattva. If you keep doing that and you have some patience, then it's very likely that you will be introduced to somebody or the other who can take you higher in the path of Kali Upasana. But which specific Mahavidya, it is not one or this or that. It depends on the individual. You cannot make a thumb rule that only you should start with this Mahavidya, that Mahavidya. If there is somebody who likes Tripur Sundari, then perhaps you can approach people who are more knowledgeable and find out certain Ashtottara Namas, not the main one, but there are some processes, some stotras, etc., related to Lalita Tripur Sundari, and you keep chanting that. Along with you do chanting of the basic slokas with respect to the concept of the Guru Tattva, and spend some time, keep doing this upasana, at least for a year, year and a half, because remember that there is another factor for progress, that is time. When your time is right, only then you get the things. But that doesn't mean that you do not practice before that, because if you do not practice, then even if the time is right, you may still miss the opportunity. So like that.
How to prepare Adhara to retain, digest the Shakti generated during the...
This is basically, again, this is something that ideally the Guru should tell the individual, because each individual has his or her own mind and body, mental makeup and physical features, etc. Those, if a Guru is really competent, he or she can just look at an individual once and figure out that what are the areas where this individual will progress certain aspects of sadhana. He or she can progress faster in certain aspects where he or she will have difficulty. So accordingly, practice can be tailored for the individual, that if you do this, if you follow this, then there's a high chance that you will progress. And about retaining Shakti inside the body and mind, the first principle is discipline. That you have to follow whatever you're doing, do it in as disciplined a manner as possible. And once you start experiencing, you have to also ensure that the circle of people you surround yourself with, you discuss, you move about with, that changes to a circle that is more conducive for your sadhana. So basic understanding, basic thing you have to understand that the moment a new power, new Shakti is infused into your mind and body through the Upasana, the mantras that you're doing, it is going to cause certain changes. So the patterns that you had, the people you moved around with, your friend circle and things like that, that will always get disrupted. If there is no change that is happening in your life, in spite of doing a lot of sadhana, that means your mantra is still not activated properly. Because if you were already perfect, assuming mantra is like a rope, it's going to pull you up, a rope that you hang on to, and the rope by itself keeps pulling you up into the higher states of upasana. So the moment your energy level changes to a more subtle state, then what was happening beforehand with you, the circles you were moving around, things you like, that is automatically bound to change. That is like a given. It will happen, definitely happen. Whether it happens on day one or whether after 20 years of upasana, that depends on the individual. Once that happens, then there is a natural reconfiguration of your life that will happen. So basic idea is that as you keep doing sadhana, you'll see that there are people who will fall off from this circle. There may be new people who you'll find as more conducive, etc. So these are things that are being sort of, to put it that way, orchestrated by the power of the sadhana that you're doing, whether you consciously understand it or not. So in that case, these things actually are aligned in a way so that you can retain more of the Shakti inside your mind and body so that you go higher. Retaining Shakti is a very difficult thing because mistakes are very easy to make. Slightest mistake and everything that you do is going to go down again, and you have to start again building up the power. So whom you speak to, whom you hang out with, what kind of discipline you follow, those things all add up little by little to help you attain and gather, retain the amount of Shakti that is needed to move up to the higher notches of sadhana.
Can non-initiates worship Ugra forms of Devi like Kali, Bhairavi using Ashtotharas and Stotams?
Yes, definitely. There is no problem. But before that, it is good to at least ask somebody, because don't just start Ugra form of a deity, say something which is not common. And suppose you pick up the Ashtatara Nama of somebody, some form like Chinnamasta, and keep doing it very aggressively. There is some effect that will start. Question is, will you be able to handle it or not? So in order that you get the right guidance, even if you don't have an initiation, it is always good to speak to somebody who is more knowledgeable. And if that individual thinks that okay, it's fine for you, you can. There is by default reading stotras etc. do not require initiation per se, but still it is advisable that at least speak to somebody. Because suddenly you start something very offbeat like this and you intensify your sadhana, you may get certain effects. Then how are you going to handle those effects? Those are important things.